Now, Challenge 3. What investors look for.
Hi everybody, I am Eyal. For those who don't know, I am an investment manager at the Hyundai CRADLE TLV team. As we understand from the last great panels, starting ventures in our industry is challenging. To succeed, you need funding, in some cases massive financing, to overcome all these challenges that we discussed. Startups in the last sessions kindly shared precious insight with us. At this session, I would like to ask the investor, specifically the financial investors, to share their points of view. We are honored to have Idan Katz, a partner and CTO at Mobilion Ventures, Eyal, a managing partner at Pitango, and Meir Dardashti, a principal at Maniv Mobility. Hi. So the Israeli auto tech ecosystem is acknowledged as a healthy and mature one worldwide. What started as a trend several years ago is today a mature market profession, and we see more and more venture capitalists specializing on this domain. I would like to ask you, what has changed in your approach over the years regarding investing in the automotive sector? Eyal, what is your take on it?
First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me here. It's a great honor, Lior. And I want to thank Hyundai for being a partner with Pitango, Dr. Chi, who envisioned all of this, and Dr. Wang, who came here and partnered with us. It's amazing. A lot of things have changed over the last couple of years. First and foremost, I think mobility and automotive have become exciting for us, but also exciting for the younger generation. I think it's amazing to see how much change we are seeing in transformation. I think the two major changes that we are seeing is that the automotive itself, electrification, autonomous, and all of that is changing how we are using the vehicle itself. But also mobility at large, whether it's public transportation, multimodality, and all of that, with exciting companies. We started with Mobilion, but we are now moving into other companies that are building great technologies like Via, Optibus, that are building new services, which is amazing to see.
So, Idan, what has changed in your approach?
Well, I think that for us, the major change is the time to market. OEMs order a lot of time to market, and that's a very slow pace. Well, new technologies are being involved and being introduced to the market, and new services, and they need to go faster to the market. This is exactly why Avi Feldman, Eyal Zbeda, Gail, and Thierry formed Mobilion Ventures, and that is to create a unique approach to the market through the aftermarket. That in specific allows companies to reach the automotive industry through the aftermarket and does not exclude them from going into the OEM cycle, so they could do the two things in parallel. So therefore, we see it as a triple win.
Meir, what has changed in your approach?
So I have to say, I think that what we've seen in the last couple of years is that a lot of the deep technology problems in automotive specifically, and we sit at the seed stage, have already been very well funded. And so it may be that we're not seeing it yet in the market, but the solutions exist. And we're seeing a lot of really interesting innovation, specifically around how do we implement that technology, the business model changes that might not be deep tech, but have a huge impact on mobility broadly and specifically on the automotive industry.
So Meir, you say that you seek maybe more business. I just wonder, does it mean that we don't have opportunities in deep technologies such as LiDAR, sensor, and so on?
Oh, not at all. We've invested in deep tech. We invest in business model innovation. I think all we have to do is acknowledge that there's been so much investment that's gone into some of these fields that if you're coming out with another LiDAR sensor now, you have to prove that you're better than the LiDAR sensors that already exist, which 5 years ago just wasn't the case. So I'm not arguing against deep tech. I'm just saying that I think that a lot of the unsolved challenges at the seed stage revolve around those business model questions that sit around the deep tech.
Okay, thank you, Meir, for this important clarification. We used to think that Israel has been a technology superpower, and that deep tech has always been our advantage. So I understand your points on new opportunities for startups that are more business-oriented than pure technology-oriented. Mm-hmm. But what is the relevance of Israeli startups in this regard? Idan, what do you think?
Well, I would argue that deep tech and business-oriented startups are actually two different dimensions. And what we should look for is the intersection between those two dimensions. I could think of portfolio companies that we have that are heavily into deep tech, AI, vision, deep tech, but have a very profound business case in damage inspection, which is a very clear and viable service. And maybe another portfolio company that is heavily invested in lithium-ion batteries. That's a very deep tech-oriented company, but they have a very clear vision and a strategic approach to market, which is a service providing is the battery safe and the performance of the battery, etc. So therefore, I see this, and in fact, in my due diligence, this is what I look for. I look for this intersection.
Yes, the combination between technology and business.
Exactly.
You mentioned the inspection Click-ins, which is also a startup in Quantum Hub.
Exactly.
It's a great example for it. Yeah. Meir, the same question to you. Maniv is a global VC. Is Israel still relevant for you?
100%. 100%. What we say is if we see three of the same kind of startup, and one of them happens to be in England, one of them happens to be in the US, one of them happens to be in Israel, we will never choose the worst startup because it happens to be in Israel. Having said that, it's more comfortable for me, it's more comfortable for the fund. We want to invest in Israel, and we've made investments in Israel in the last year, and we'll make more investments this year as well. I think the Israeli entrepreneurs changed. I think the stereotype of the Israeli entrepreneur being focused only on deep tech isn't true anymore. Yep. Israelis know the automotive sector better than they did a decade ago. And they know some of the business nuances of the sector better than they did a decade ago. So it should be no surprise that as the market moves, the entrepreneurs will move as well.
Yes, actually, Eyal mentioned it before, some big companies. So today we see that Israeli companies can address any aspect, deep tech or not. So Eyal, what are the leading trends you have identified in the automotive industry?
So I mentioned some of them earlier on. First of all, we're closely watching the electrification of everything, from the multimodality. If automotive used to mean driving a car, now it means a lot of things. You have your scooters, you have your electric bikes, everything is being electrified and multimodality. That's a big thing. And now everything interlaces into working together for us. As a transportation. People don't want to own the car, they want to use different vehicles in order to get from point A to point B. They also want to have it interlaced into some sort of technology. So what Moovit has done, I think, for the younger generation today, they're walking around and they know exactly what is next. They know exactly how they'll get from point A to point B. And I think that's very important. So it's core technologies and it's usability as well. Last but not least, I think it's important for sustainability. How we impact the world. How do we stop polluting the world? And I think those three things are very important, and we continue to invest in them.
Thanks, Idan. What trends have you identified?
Well, I tend to agree with Meir. If I would pick only two, yeah. I would go with electrification.
Okay.
And now, especially with the COVID, it's all about sustainability. And we are on a road. We are on a road to zero emission. We're not there, but we are definitely on a road to zero emission. And the second thing I would say is data. A car is a moving hub of data. There are enormous amount of things that we could do with this data, and we start seeing this now with new services being emerged. Am I driving a safe car? Maybe future maintenance, maybe preventative maintenance just in time. There are a lot of sensors that we are utilizing, and those metadata over those sensors can become a vital or very important services in the future. So I see this as a very big trend.
Okay. Meir, what with you?
I feel like the easy answers were taken. It's hard to go last on a question. But listen, I think there's one more nuance I'd add here, which is digitization. It's that you think about communication being digitized. The PC came out 30 years ago. 30 years later, there are still industries being digitized. That's just starting to happen in mobility and in automotive. The implications of everyone having a connected supercomputer in their pocket and every single vehicle on wheels, from a stupid little scooter all the way up to the highest end Genesis vehicle, having a modem inside. I mean, the business implications and the technology implications of that are only now starting to be realized. We're maybe 1 decade into what started taking three decades in communication, which is the digitization of everything that moves.
Certainly.
My last but not least question is, may you share with our audience how you collaborate with Hyundai? Meir, let's start with you.
Well, I think this event is proof that we collaborate. You know, Hyundai is obviously a close partner, and there's stuff we do in public here. There's also a lot of coordination behind the scenes, coordination on deal flow, on research, and many other things. And it's a partnership we're very proud of, and happy to be here, but also happy to work with you on investments and on other kinds of research.
You know, Meir was first, so he took the easy part. But I'll say one thing. First of all, it's I think 1 + 1 makes 3 here, and it's not only for us, but rather for the portfolio companies and for companies that we are looking into. You know, when we can connect between a company and Hyundai, a leading OEM, it makes a lot of value during the process. If I have to look forward, what needs to be done, I think it's just more. We need more OEMs, but specifically from Hyundai, we want to see you guys here more active, and find different models to bring more value to the local ecosystem. And I think in time there will be a lot of value for Hyundai as well. So that's a big picture.
Yes, I can mention that we also have with your both funds some co-investments.
Yeah.
So Idan, as a younger VC, Mobilion, how you collaborate with Hyundai?
Well, first of all, I want to say that the CRADLE team in Israel is a very energetic team, and at least I see them a lot in all the events, so kudos for you. And I would say, facts count. So for our, I would say, small portfolio, out of 6 companies, we have click-ins who've just graduated the Quantum Hub and are now moving into a phase of POC with Hyundai. We have another company, Mobilion, which is just successfully finished 2 POCs with 2 different business divisions. And we have coming up now under some build-up cognition monitoring system. So I think that 3 out of 6 is impressive.
Yeah.
Sounds promising. So thank you, Eyal, Meir, Idan. It was a fascinating session, and it is a pleasure to partner with each one of you. I would like to add that we at Hyundai encourage startups and VCs in the audience to engage with us once you have a mature offering that we can validate. Please bear in mind that a financial opportunity is not a trigger for us to invest. We first seek the strategic fit for our business, and therefore we explore the technology and this collaboration intensively. And it takes a long time. We want to engage with you early enough to be ready for a potential strategic investment later on.